Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today is Booklist Thursday, and this is a video series I do with my friend Lindsay over at Lindsay's Little Library. And today we are going to be doing our 5-star prediction follow-up. So a few months ago, we partnered up with Vicky from Vicky's Book Nook, and we decided to create a stack of 5-star predictions, and then between the three of us, we picked each other's books to read. So I picked 2 for Vicky to read, Lindsay picked 2 for Vicky to read, and we all did the same for each other. So I have 4 books here that I read that were picked by them, and I'm excited to tell you if they were 5 stars or not. So these are the books that they picked, so I'm just going to start from the top and work my way down. So the first one I want to talk about is Us Against You by Frederick Bachman. This is one that Lindsay picked for me to read. And this was a 5-star prediction because I loved Beartown, which is the first book in this series. And this is a direct sequel, so you do need to read Beartown first. If you have not read either one of them, make sure you read that one first, because the things that happen in here are a direct impact of what happened in the first one. So you will be lost. And then I have heard that he's writing a 3rd one as well. So I'm very, very excited about that. But this one, since it's a direct sequel, I don't want to go into too much detail about it because I don't want to ruin the first book, but there's a lot of aftermath in here. It's still focusing on the town and the future of the hockey program in this town as a result of what happened in the first one. So you're following that happen. Lots of character development, and it was really good. I loved this book so much. I love the commentary in here and the discussion about some social topics that are woven in here that sometimes I don't appreciate when a lot of social commentary is put into books, but here it makes a lot of sense because a lot of that stuff is directly impacting this town. And so it makes a lot of sense, but it makes sense for everybody at the same time. And it just is a really good lesson in listening and not, jumping to conclusions. It's a really good lesson in friendship, and it is just full of some of the best quotes. I filled up an entire page in my planner of quotes from this book because I knew I was just going to be writing them down left and right. And I did. I filled up an entire page of quotes because some of them are just really good and they make you think. And so yeah, this one was definitely a 5-star, easy, and I absolutely loved it. The next one I'm going to talk about is Blindsided by Karen Slaughter. This one was picked for me from Vicky, and I was a little bit nervous about this one because I love Karen Slaughter. She's one of my favorite authors. She is now an auto-buy author for me, and this is one of her older books, and I was a little bit nervous that since it's older, it was not going to be as enjoyable, and I just wasn't quite sure, how it was going to go, but I had no reason to be nervous at all. I absolutely loved this. And it's the first book in the Grant County series. So she has 2 different series that are kind of detective type series. This is the first one. And then some of the characters in here will blend with the other series, and then they kind of become one. So this is where I'm starting, and I absolutely loved it. It was Karen Slaughter. It was tough. It was a little gruesome. Not as bad as some of her other things, not as bad as Pretty Girls for sure, but there is still some pretty graphic, violent scenes in here. I was guessing the whole time. I could not figure out who committed this crime that happened in here. The reason it's called Blindsided is because the victim in this book is a woman who was blind. So that was really interesting. And so you're following the person who is kind of going on this manhunt to figure out who killed this woman. And she's actually she's the town coroner. Yeah, she does all the, what are they called? The medical autopsies. That's what she does. I'm trying to think of what the name is. She's also the town pediatrician, I think. So yeah, it's really interesting. She kind of plays a double role there, but she ends up right in the middle of all this stuff. And she also has a very difficult past with the police chief, which is her ex-husband. And just, it's so good. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Read through it really, really quickly, and it was fantastic. So 5 stars. The next one I'm going to talk about is Misery by Stephen King. So this one was also picked for me from Vicky because Vicky loves Stephen King. So she wanted me to read this one when she saw that I hadn't read it yet. This was also a gift to me from Hulda. So thank you, Hulda. And you guys, oh my gosh, did I love this book. I had a feeling I was going to, which is why it was a 5-star prediction. But this is short. Like, you know, Stephen King books can be really, really big, but this one is a shorter book. And I was not sure how much of a punch it was going to pack, but oh my gosh, was this so good. The characters in here, Annie and Paul, were so well written. Annie is just, she's crazy, and it's so good just how crazy she is. And you really, I liked seeing Paul too, because Paul, okay, if you don't know what Misery is, I'll explain it really, really quick, but I feel like this is such a popular book, I don't have to, but Paul is a best-selling author, and he writes a book series that Annie is obsessed with, and he ends up getting into an accident on a snowy Colorado highway, I think, and she ends up rescuing him, and she takes him back to her house, and she's rehabilitating him. Nobody really knows he's missing, and she is obsessed with his book series, and she wants him to continue writing it and to write another book, but she wants to control the narrative on where that book goes because she feels like these books belong to her and that the main character belongs to her, and she doesn't like the way that he's taking the book series. So she pretty much holds him captive and abuses him and keeps him drugged under the guise of taking care of him in order to get him to do this. So that's what this whole book is. And you learn a lot about Annie along the way too. Her background, she actually has a nursing background, but there's a reason she's not a nurse anymore. And I liked watching Paul because you really watch his mental state just deteriorate over time. Like he really kind of goes almost into the realm of insanity, and to the point where you're not sure if what he's seeing is real, and he's not sure if what he's seeing is real and what's happening is real. And you're kind of trying to figure it out with him. Oh, it was so good. I loved it. I loved the ending. It was fantastic. So this was definitely a 5-star. I really want to watch the movie now. I've never seen the movie either. So at some point, hopefully before the end of the year, I'm going to get my hands on it and watch the movie. But yeah, it was awesome. And the last one is The Flatshare by Beth O'Leary. And this is one that Lindsay picked for me. And she said she wanted me to read this to let her know if it was worth all the hype. And the answer is yes. I loved this one too, you guys. This one was fantastic. It was a very quick read because, again, this is another short one, but this follows two people who, it's Leon and what is her name? I don't remember. Tiffy. Leon and Tiffy. And Tiffy is looking for a place to live because her and her boyfriend have just broken up and she was living with him, so she needs a place to stay. And Leon is looking for a roommate, but he's making it work so that they're not in the apartment at the same time. So she works a day shift, so she has the apartment at night, and that's when she sleeps. He works a night shift, and so he has the apartment during the day, and that's when he sleeps. So they're on opposite schedules. So they work out this plan to where they're never in the apartment at the same time, but they both live there, and they're sharing an apartment. So they end up communicating through like notes that they leave around, and that's kind of how they get to know each other. It's notes, some text messages, a couple phone calls here and there, but they have never, met in person. And you kind of see them build a relationship that way. And you also see what's going on in their lives as they're not physically seeing each other. You're seeing what's going on in their own lives because he has a complicated relationship that he's in. She has this ex who's crazy. And so she's dealing with that. And he's also dealing with some family stuff that's going on through here. And she ends up kind of actually helping him through that. And it is just so sweet. This was such a sweet book. And I loved Leon. He is just my precious, precious teddy bear. I love him so much. I just want to squeeze him. He was so adorable and just, I don't know. I loved it so much. I laughed out loud a couple times, definitely. And I just love the way that their relationship was built that way. It was fantastic. So loved it. 5 stars. So I'm going to go ahead and say that was one of the more successful 5-star predictions because all of them ended up being 5 stars for me. I genuinely enjoyed them that much. They were fantastic. Okay, so that is going to be it for mine. Make sure you go check out Lindsey and Vicky today and see what their predictions ended up being and see what they ended up reading and if they ended up being 5 stars. I'm really excited to see what their thoughts are because we have not talked about it. So I'm excited to see that. So make sure you go head over to their channels. They were both linked down below, and we will see you guys again very soon. Hope you have a great day.